In this video, we're learning how to divide polynomials. We're going to follow this set of 4 steps that's up here in the upper right-hand corner. The steps are just sort of an abbreviated version of the actual steps we'll perform. I just wanted to kind of include just a little reminder of how to do each thing. As you watch the video, you'll get the hang of it, and then you can just refer back to those steps as a little reminder in case you forget something. All right, the very first step you want to do is to make sure that in both the dividend and the divisor, we end up having the standard form for the polynomial. What I mean by that is basically the highest agreed term is out in front, then the next highest agreed term follows that, so on and so forth until you get down to the constant. So it looks like our polynomials are both in that format. Since they're both in that format, I'm simply going to put the divisor out in front, and then I'm going to put the 4x third minus x squared plus x plus 2 inside. Now from there, the next step is to divide the leading terms of the polynomials. What I mean by that is you want to take this leading term here, this 4x to the third, off to the side, and you're going to divide it by the leading term of the divisor, in this case just x. And you're going to see what that would result in. So x goes into 4x cubed, basically giving you 4x squared, because, you know, it's like a 1 in front of the x, 1 goes into 4 times, and then x to the third divided by x. Remember, you keep the common base here, and you subtract the exponents. 3 minus 1 ends up giving you x squared. So you end up having this result. Now that value is going to be what we put on top here. So we'll have 4x squared over here on top. And that quantity is going to distribute in to the divisor to fill in the row underneath the dividend. So we'll have 4x squared times x, which is going to give you 4x cubed. Now that has to be the case because if that didn't turn out to be the same as the leading term in the dividend, you would have done something wrong back over here in this step. Now that we see that matches, then the next step is to multiply this 4x squared times the 2. So we'll end up with 8x squared. So I'm going to put plus 8x squared. And what I'm doing here is putting the plus 8x squared underneath the x squared because that's where it belongs. We're going to line up like terms here. All right, to perform the subtraction step, we're going to draw a line here and change the signs of the polynomial that's at the bottom. So I'm going to cross out the plus sign in front of the 8x squared and make it negative, and I'm going to put a negative in front of the 4x cubed on the bottom there. So remember, draw the line, change the signs. It's like basically a poem that you can remember easily, right? Draw the line, change the signs. Okay, so once you do that, you're going to go ahead and perform your subtraction. So 4x to the third is going to cancel out with negative 4x to the third. That's supposed to happen. And then you'll have negative 1x squared, minus 8x squared, which is going to give you negative 9x squared. Then from there, you're going to bring down each of the remaining terms to form a new polynomial. We're going to continue the process because this leading term here, this negative 9x squared, it is larger in degree than the leading term of the divisor. So we have just x plus 2, that x is to the first power. Since the negative 9x squared has an x to the second power, it means that we need to continue to divide until we end up having the remainder here, which will end up having a lower degree than the divisor has. So we'll see what that looks like as we get there. So for now, let's just continue the process and see what we get next. Okay, so repeating step 2, we're going to take this minus 9x squared, and we're going to divide it by the positive x there from the divisor. All right, so remember, 1 goes into negative 9 times, and then x will go into x squared just x times. So we'll put in negative 9x. So remember what we're doing here. We're basically saying this process where we do this division here is to basically figure out what do I have to multiply x by in order to make it look exactly like negative 9x squared. Well, the answer would be negative 9x. That's what we need to multiply it by. Okay, so let's go ahead and distribute this negative 9x in again. So it'll be negative 9x times x, which is going to give you negative 9x squared. And then we're going to do negative 9x times a positive 2, which is going to give you negative 18x. So minus 18x. Draw the line, change the signs. So I'm going to make those negatives on the bottom row positive. So the minus 9x squared is going to cancel out with the positive 9x squared. And I'm going to have 19x left over when I add the 1x to the 18x, and then I'll have plus 2 when I bring down this positive 2. Okay, so we need to continue the process still because this 19x still has a degree that's as big as the divisor has. We only stop when the degree of this leftover term or polynomial is lower than the degree of this divisor. Okay, so repeating step 2, we're going to take that 19x now from the dividend, and we're going to divide it by the leading term of the divisor. So we divide by the x. So 1 goes into 19 times, and x goes into itself just once, or in other words, they cancel out, right? So we end up having just 19 here. And we're going to put then plus 19 up on the top of this division bar. Now we're going to distribute the 19 over like we have been doing. So 19 times x is going to give you 19x, and then 19 times positive 2 is going to give you a positive 38. Then the rule says we draw the line and change the signs, right? So I'm going to end up having the 19x's cancel out like they're supposed to, and we'll end up with negative 36 as a remainder. I know that's my remainder because negative 36 is a constant, which means it has a lower degree than the divisor does. All right, so to write our answer out, what I like to do is I put the 4x squared minus 9x plus 19. I put that part of the quotient there. Then I add the remainder, but in this case, since it's a negative 36, it'll be basically adding a negative 36, or in other words, you could have just put minus 36, divided by the divisor x plus 2. So the answer then, the quotient, is just 4x squared minus 9x plus 19 minus 36 over x plus 2. So if we multiply this quotient by the divisor, we could recreate the original dividend. However, it's a little bit time consuming to do that, so I'm going to leave that for you to check on your own. But if you actually take the x plus 2 and distribute it into this quotient, you're going to end up with the original dividend for the problem. And that's how you can check that you did the problem correctly.